On February 28, 2026, a joint U.S.-Israeli military operation assassinated Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The strike followed the complete collapse of nuclear negotiations in Geneva, a diplomatic failure that came on the heels of the brief 12-day war in June 2025. The 12-day war was a short military conflict where Israel and the U.S. preemptively struck Iranian nuclear and military infrastructure. American and Israeli intelligence agencies assessed that Tehran was rapidly accumulating uranium enriched beyond 90%. Crossing this weapons-grade threshold forced Washington and Jerusalem to abandon their strategy of deterrence in favor of immediate, preemptive military action. This diagram shows a cross-section of the Tehran leadership compound, highlighting Khamenei's subterranean bunker. The elevator required over 5 minutes to reach the lowest level, creating a narrow window of vulnerability. Consequently, the CIA and Mossad spent decades mapping exactly when he'd be above ground. The decades-long shadow war of calculated, calibrated deterrence had ended. Neutralizing the nuclear threat now demanded a flawless, high-risk decapitation strike directly on sovereign Iranian soil. On the morning of February 28th, the United States and Israel launched their coordinated campaigns, Operation Epic Fury and Operation Roaring Lion. Phase 1 focused on the suppression of enemy air defenses, or SEAD. SEAD is a military tactic used to neutralize surface-to-air missile systems and radar networks. The primary targets were Iran's advanced Russian-supplied S-300 and S-400 mobile anti-aircraft batteries. To bypass these systems, the alliance deployed F-35 stealth fighters equipped with specialized electronic warfare pods. These pods jammed incoming radar frequencies, effectively blinding the Iranian defense grid and opening a secure aerial corridor straight to Tehran. While the military hardware was jammed, a synchronized psychological cyber attack targeted the civilian population. Hackers compromised Badisaba, a highly popular Islamic calendar and prayer application used by millions of Iranians. The compromised app was weaponized to broadcast push notifications urging military personnel and civilians to defect. Messages reading "Help has arrived" and "It's time for reckoning" flooded phone screens across the country. By disabling the military radar networks and sowing sudden confusion among the public, the U.S.-Israeli alliance created a momentary, frictionless vacuum over the capital to execute the physical strike. The kinetic strike hit at approximately 8 a.m. local time. Executing the attack in broad daylight provided total operational surprise against an Iranian security apparatus that strictly planned for nighttime raids. A coordinated swarm of U.S. Navy Tomahawk cruise missiles, B-2 stealth bombers, and Israeli fighter jets converged on the Supreme Leader's residential and administrative compound on Pasteur Street. A Tomahawk is a long-range subsonic cruise missile used primarily by the U.S. Navy for deep land attack warfare. Breaching the subterranean bunker required a highly specific munition, the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. The MOP is a 30,000-pound precision-guided bunker buster bomb designed by the U.S. Air Force to destroy deeply buried, hardened targets. The alliance saturated the target area. 30 precision-guided bombs dropped onto the compound within a tightly concentrated 60-second window. The immediate casualty assessment confirms the deaths of Khamenei and roughly 40 senior military officials. Among the dead was Mohammad Bagheri, the chief of staff for the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Satellite images revealed the strike's aftermath, showing massive structural craters and completely leveled facilities within the leadership complex. In exactly 60 seconds, decades of meticulous intelligence gathering culminated in the complete kinetic decapitation of Iran's senior political and military leadership. The 60-second strike achieved its tactical objectives flawlessly, but it triggered a strategic earthquake across the Middle East. With the head of the regime severed, the surviving command structure underwent a severe doctrinal shift. Iranian forces perceived themselves to be on death ground. Death ground is a military concept describing a situation where defeat seems total, and the only rational strategy is maximum unconstrained resistance. This diagram maps the launch of Operation True Promise 4, Iran's immediate retaliatory response. Surviving military units fired over 400 ballistic missiles and 1,000 attack drones at United States and Israeli military installations across 9 surrounding nations. The barrage specifically targeted deep within urban population centers, directly striking facilities like the Kiryat military headquarters in central Tel Aviv. The retaliation quickly expanded into the global economic domain. Iranian forces weaponized and effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow, critical maritime choke point between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, through which roughly 20% of the world's oil consumption passes. A secondary retaliation wave activated Iranian sleeper cells in the digital space. State-sponsored hackers shifted from passive espionage to active destruction, deploying wiper malware against critical infrastructure. Wiper malware is a type of malicious software designed to permanently erase data and destroy systems rather than just steal information, infiltrating municipal water utilities. But the ultimate cost was the total collapse of regional deterrence, igniting an open, multi-domain, and existential war. The surgical precision of the 60-second strike succeeded in its primary objective,